I have here some unfinished compost that has been sifted off of the main pile. This is the stuff that was sifted out, so it's very, very rough. It's you can see it. It's just mostly pine straw, oak leaves, and it's mostly probably less than 2 months old, and some of it is up to 5 months old that has been in the composting process. But not very good as far as compost goes, but I'm going to show you real quick how to make some really valuable fertilizer with it. Alright, so here is a 10-gallon bucket of just dirty water. It's been sitting here for a long time. Largely, I've been using this just as a heat sink to help keep the greenhouse temperature a little bit warmer with this big thing of water, and probably too much water in there, so I'm going to dump some of it out. And for the fertilizer, all you need to do is take this rough stuff and dump it in the water. But let me show you something right quick before I do that to show you that this is just plain water with no immediately available fertility in it. So I got these drinking water test strips here that I've used in previous videos, and get one of these, and the top two squares are what indicate the nitrogen level of the water sample, and the top square is the nitrate, the second from the top is the nitrite. The nitrate is particularly good for immediate fertilizing purposes. So I'm just going to take and dip it in this plain water here for a couple of seconds and tap it off. And if there was any available nitrogen in there, it would show up nice and pink on that top square, but obviously it's clear as can be, so there's no immediately available nitrogen. That's just plain water, except for it's got, dissolved random mud gunk in there. Nothing bad, all good, but no immediately available fertility. Okay, now I'm going to put this unfinished compost in there, and essentially just rinse off all of that nitrate, soluble nitrogen that's in this stuff. This is a big bucket. I need a lot of it, so I didn't want to just use a 5-gallon bucket. This one should cover me to water everything in my greenhouse, fertilize everything that I got in my seedling trays for starts. So I'm just going to dump it in there, at least 2.5 gallons worth of this stuff. And this is a super fast way to do it, because I'm just going to mix it all up once it's in here. Mix it all up with the stick. Okay, that should be plenty. Alright, that should be enough stirring. Now I'm going to get another test strip here and test that muddy water and see what the nitrate level says now. Okay, definitely muddy, which makes the colors a little less bright, but it's supposed to wait 60 seconds. Definitely hasn't been 60 seconds yet, but you can already see some color on there indicating readily available nitrate in that water. Now, if you make a Miracle-Gro fertilizer with soluble nitrate, of course, it's going to be 500 plus parts per million. And you look at the color scale here, and this one is coming out to be probably between 100 and 200 parts per million. 100 to 200 parts per million. So that's pretty good. That's some nice amount of fertility. A good, well, almost 10 gallons worth of fertilizer right there. And of course it's got more than just nitrate in it. It's got all the dissolved minerals that are in the mud and anything that's soluble as well, of course. But now that I've made it, just going to start applying it to all of my seedlings. Okay, so I've been putting off watering these seedlings for as long as I can stand it. You know, I look at them and the top layer of the seed pot, the soil is dry and crispy, and I think, man, they could use some water. But on the other hand, as I've mentioned, and I made a couple of videos just recently on, I've been worried about anaerobic conditions developing in the bottoms of the seed pots, the soils. So I've been putting off watering in order to help to avoid anaerobic conditions. So let me show you what I mean by the top layer being crispy and the bottom of the pot being still nice and moist. When it has this much compost in it and organic matter, it holds moisture very effectively. So let's look at it. So here are some pepper seedlings, and this pot right here didn't have one germinate in it, or maybe it died or something, but you look at the top of it. I haven't watered it any in well over a week. Nice and crispy on top. And dig down a little bit though, maybe a half an inch to an inch, and you get to the moisture. Okay, now I'm going to turn this pot upside down and we can examine the bottom of it thoroughly. Alright, here we go. Nice and crisp on top. Turn it upside down. And look at that shininess. It's practically slimy with moisture. I'm sure. Well, from that you can say, well, it definitely doesn't need water. The plants aren't struggling for water. And the next question is, are they struggling for fertility because of the anaerobic conditions and the cold temperatures at night? I just smelled the bottom of this. I didn't want to show you guys me sniffing a bunch of dirt and compost, but it doesn't stink. You know, anaerobic systems have a stench to them of some type. And this doesn't stink, which is a good sign, meaning that it's not terribly unhealthy conditions. But I'm still concerned that there's not enough fertility in that mix, particularly because some of the pots, a good many of the trays, got flooded, as I mentioned in the previous video as well. When it rained, the greenhouse dripped water onto some of them and flooded the trays out and I had to drain it. I'll inspect a pot up here with the seedling in it, just for the heck of it, and turn it upside down without hurting anything. Top of it is nice and crispy. You can see it flaking off real easy, falling out of my hand. And I look at the bottom of this one, you see some white roots on there, and it's definitely dark in color, got a little shininess, so it seems like there's still plenty of moisture in there. But because in the sunny days coming up, even if it's cool outside, 50s or 60s maybe at the warmest time, it gets to be 90s and up in the greenhouse. Even with the maximum ventilation I have with the doors wide open, it still gets to be in the 90s easily, and so that dries these out even quicker, even though they haven't been drying out very quickly. But I wanted to go ahead and water them so I have less to worry about, and also give them the fertility, the fertilizer, not just the water. And so that's what I'm going to be doing here with my seed trays. I said I'm going to put at least 1 or 2 cupfuls of the Instomatic Compost Tea, and that'll be that. Oh, one detail about this, when it's muddy, it hasn't been, filtered very well, the mud can get on the leaves and kind of darken the leaves up. That may not be beneficial for the plant and its photosynthesis. You know, the seedlings need max photosynthesis, especially when they're in the greenhouse. They probably don't need a bunch of dirt caked on their leaves, slowing down their growth. So try to avoid getting that on the leaves at least a fair bit. So anyhow, that's just a little note. Oh, and I am watering obviously from the top rather than the bottom because I want to make sure every seedling gets some water, some fertilizer. If I water from the bottom on these shelves of mine, they're all uneven. You can see that they're very uneven, unlevel, and so all the water will rush to one side of the tray and leave the other side dry, or I have to fill it up so much to get the other side wet that this one's like drowning in water, and it's just very difficult to do bottom watering on my unlevel shelving system here. Although I could struggle with it and put some blocks under it. You can see a block right here to make it level. That's a lot of extra effort. So rather than worrying about that so much, I'm just going to water from the top. So one more thought about, you know, this seedling pot and the dry top layer. It goes down maybe an inch in some of them, maybe half an inch, I don't know. But that dry top layer, to me, when it's crispy especially, you know, the roots can't access it whatsoever. So it's like it's doing no benefit for the plant. And so watering from the top will allow whatever fertility is in that top layer to rinse down towards the bottom and help the roots, and also allow the roots a chance to grow into the top layer, since it'll have enough moisture for them to spread into that higher levels in the seedling pot. If it stays super dry though, it's just going to be the bottom layer of the pot that's going to have all the roots. So that's another thought when it comes to top watering and the conditions that I have with this pot. Okay, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe.